Have you ever felt the thrill of typing out a multi-paragraph response with sources to some asshole on the internet? You've done the research. You have the expertise. You know this incredibly specific piece of sand-grain knowledge so well that you might as well have a degree in it. Sally, clear my schedule. Someone is wrong on Reddit. Welcome to the Void. I spend my life just absolutely brimming with unbridled rage. I rage at the man, I rage at straight men, I rage at my father. I think I just hate men, which is a little weird since I love myself so much. This episode, we tackle the stinging taste of this feral power that you get in the heat of the height of absolute insanity, when you're typing out that 5-paragraph text that you should never, ever send. The absolute euphoria one can get from reveling in the manic rage that Dionysus was famous for. The closest civilized humans can get to getting drunk and naked and dancing free and loud in the old world wilds of ancient Greece. The kind of anger that inspires awe in others.
You're backing away from me like you're scared.
This mania, however, isn't always rage. Sometimes the threat of a good idea can inspire something that feels a little bit like righteous anger. Ever concocted an entirely fake scenario in the shower in which you, listener, are the sole expert in the room on a topic no one ever asks you about? Has someone asked your imagination an obscure question? Will you finally get to explain your opinions on the minutiae of the universe? Here, let's create a scenario of our own right now. Let's make a classroom. I'll clear my conspiracy board. And we'll summon a question from the void.
Why did anyone
How
do
YouTubers wear
How are
pants?
babies made?
Why did the station just break? What's the meaning of life?
Why
is chocolate
would the air
so
smell of fish,
expensive?
or would
Why
they
do
smell
people
less
die?
like fish?
What is the meaning of life?
Why does
Can
Jaden's
I
metro
try
have a
one?
water company?
What is Homestuck?
Okay, so the comic starts on John's 13th birthday, and John is supposed to get a game in the mail. It's called Suburb, and he's gonna play it with his friends. His friends are, I forgot their names. So, 4 kids are supposed to play this game called Suburb, and in Suburb, you program this planet called Skya, and you also create a new universe, and, you have to breed frogs to create a new universe. And they're not the first attempt at Suburb. There were other attempts at Suburb. There were 7 attempts at Suburb, and the first attempt at Suburb was, we're going out of chronological order of the comic, we're gonna step back for a second. So, John and his friends, there's a glitch in their session, and the glitch in their session is called the Green Sun, which is the dude named Doc Scratch. And Doc Scratch might actually be another player from a different session. He never explained it, but we're on Fan Theory Temple now. This is my temple, this is my fan theory, and I will explain it in maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So, there's a glitch so that they can't make their frog, because they can't make their Skya, because they blew up their Skya. They have to jump over to another player session, and remember that this is 3 acts I just explained 3 acts of Homestuck in 5 sentences. So, John is dead, temporarily. There's these dream selves things, and in dream selves, and there's moons on Skya, and the moons are Durs and Prospit, and depending on your personality, you end up on one, and it's like a dream self, and it's only awake when you're asleep, and it's a second life in Suburb, but you have it before you start Suburb, so Suburb players are predestined by having dream selves. Anyway, so John kills his dream self to achieve God tier, which is your highest momentum of existence, and you get all of these funky powers, and John dies ceremonially. Moving on. Trolls, they come in the 3rd act. In the 3rd act, we're introduced to Corcat. Corcat is also turning 13, and Corcat is a little bastard, and he is also my son. So Corcat is a mutant by troll standards. Okay, so trolls are divided into several, they're divided by blood color, and Corcat was supposed to be a lime blood, but he's a mutant, and he's lower class. Lime bloods are the lowest class, but they were genocided out of troll society several generations before Corcat was born. The trolls were divided into 2 6-person teams. Suburb doesn't let you divide sessions, so it ended up into be a 12-player session, and their games combined. But there was a glitch in their universe too, and they couldn't make a frog because their life player died. They joined up with the humans on a meteor to go to a different Suburb session, and in that Suburb session, okay, we're gonna back up to cherubs now. Cherubs are like babies, and they look like babies. They like babies, except they're green, and they're the size of teenage humans. Okay, so in the 4th or 5th act of Homestuck, we are skipping way ahead now. Caliborn is the first Suburb session. except it's not Celeborn. It's Celeborn and Callie, because cherubs are two people, except they're the same person and they're in the same body. It's like the same person but divided into two personalities, and one personality eats the other when they reach adulthood so that they can bone other cherubs, because you can't bone another cherub if, like, they're divided into personalities, and one is really nice and one is really mean, and one of them lives and gets to pass its gene on, and the other one gets swallowed by the other personality, so, like, all cherubs are either entirely good or entirely evil, which sounds like the absolute worst society to have parties with, which is probably why they're solitary. Celeborn had a one-person session, which you can't win. You can't win with just one person in Suburb, so because you're supposed to have a lot of different players, because you need a live player to make the frog, so you can make another universe, which is how you win Suburb, except Celeborn is only one player, and he's a void player, and he just shoves planets into black holes, and shoving all the planets into the black holes in order is supposed to be how he wins the game, except you can't really win the game, so his is a null session, which is how he becomes Doc Scratch, who is the evil force behind all the session. He's why the trolls like to kill each other, because he bred them that way, and anyway, Celeborn became Doc Scratch. Somehow, by sitting on a planet alone for several thousand years. And so nobody understands what's going on. You have to understand. That's how Homestuck works. That's Homestuck! They made a new universe, and it's called Universe C, and it's called Earth C, but it doesn't have a gay wizard in it, unfortunately, unless you count Dave is a gay wizard, because he kind of is, because he can make time clones of himself, and then he watched himself die like 3,000 times, and it forced him to confront his abuse by his really crappy brother, and right, and in the beta kid session, I don't know if I said this, I did say that, we're moving on, so, and Dave is, I guess, the gay wizard of Earthsea, and it got a Snapchat epilogue, and then it got a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so Hive Swap. There were the alpha trolls. It's not always grounded ancestors in the beta trolls. Not everything has to be grounded in reality. Reality is objectively bad sometimes. There's nothing wrong with indulging in the sauce every now and again. Perhaps, like Joel, you have an expansive pop culture theory. One that requires a conspiracy corkboard, an entire skein of red yarn, a whole box of thumbtacks, and a grid of patterned duct tape.
Hey guys, do you want to hear my VeggieTales conspiracy theory?
Yes.
So here's the thing, right? Paul Gray, he started it in episode 2 in God Wants Me to Forgive Them with question mark and exclamation point, alright? He has a family. He's a part of the Grapes of Wrath, okay? He has Ma Grape, and then he has 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy's 18, the girl's 16. What? You have those.
Why do you have more information than this gives?
Okay. No, here's the problem.
So much about
here's the problem. Okay,
why
are you
questioning that?
If you look, fast forward like 20 years. Go to 2008, the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything movie. Pa Grape has a different wife and 2 different kids that are younger. Okay, and it's not just like them from the past, like.
His wife just got surgery.
Well, no. They are very
surgery
different.
on a grape.
Dadgummit, Mara. I can't keep doing this. Go back to the wiki, the Pod Grape wiki. All right, if you go down to family. Oh my gosh! All right, this is a real conspiracy now. They took away the information. I'm sorry. Are you recording all of this?
Wait.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? All right.
It's just like the Epstein shit.
No. So maybe it may be on a different. We don't care about secondary characters. We need relation to Paul Grape. All right. Look up Paul Grape wiki. We need a new wiki.
Paul Grape.
Paul Grape. We need to find his family. Okay. So try that one. And then if we can't get that one, it may be in the final VeggieTales. There are 3 different fandom wikis devoted specifically to VeggieTales. I hope you know that. Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's not on either of these. One more tab. VeggieTales wiki, that's the one we need. Yes, this is the one. Okay, so go down, quotes. Wait, real quickly, I think I saw a hairbrush back there. I'm a Viking, and I've come to take your land. Very good quotes. Appearances, we don't care about that. Go down further. They are taking away history. All right, no, here's the thing. Wait,
just
wait,
like the
he, Ma Grape. Okay, so there's Ma Grape, alright? Tom and Rosie, those are the original two. But then, in the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything movie, he has a completely different family with completely different names. And they look completely different. And the fact that we cannot find, like, that family anymore is, like, messing with me. So here's my theory, right? You have Pa Grape, completely different families over a period of 20 years. Now, there's a couple of options. A, his family all died in a terrible, terrible car accident because they did have a car and they turned into the grapes of math. So they were probably doing like seminars at different universities, got in a car wreck, they all died except for Pa Grape. He remarried later and then, it ensued. 2, he got in a very bad divorce. That's it to that theory. But what I think is most likely is that VeggieTales was going to do a special episode depicting, because VeggieTales, sometimes it's original stories, sometimes they do Bible stories, and they just act it out with vegetables. Sometimes, the final theory is that sometimes the VeggieTales, they act out different Bible stories. What's a Bible story where the man's entire family dies, and then he gets a brand new family? That's right, the Book of Job. I think that VeggieTales was going to do a full-on episode all about Job and have Pa Grape as Job. His family was going to die, and then he's going to have his 3 friends. Oh my gosh, because that could have been the Pirates. The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything, they come, and then they debate about theological stuff for like 30 chapters, and then God shows up and he's like, hey, bro, I'm like, chill, cool, we're fine.
Wait, does God show up in VeggieTales?
I'm just saying, Pa Grape was going to be Job, and then they cut it. That's my theory. And
deceased.
That's it. That's it. That's my conspiracy theory about VeggieTales.
It's like you're being swept away by a river of knowledge. It's your own knowledge. It's not always right, but it certainly carries you away. You're like a feral professor set loose upon the world, free from the farm where they raise you to write papers and wear collared shirts. I think this may be one of the things that is exclusively human. It's a social skill, in a way. It's an offshoot of the same emotion that drives us to tell stories. Except instead of telling the story of that time Grog and your buddies went down the mountain to kick another tribe's ass, you're explaining the expansive metadicts of which mushrooms are good for soup and which are better off fried. Some people are storytellers, and some people are word vomiters. And sometimes the best storytellers are also the best at word vomit. Grog's secret passion is writing his mushroom cookbook, after all. We bond over shared experiences. We like to think that these emotions are all positive, but we also know that the idea that we only bond over happy fun times is full of shit. Sometimes the best bonding experience is the shared rage you feel with that professor that passive-aggressively complains about giving extensions on papers in the middle of the project cycle. This feeling is a one-man mob mentality. You carry a room's worth of energy with the weight of your own words. It's the fury of 1,000 suns wrapped up in the one shaking fist of the only person in the entire lounge yelling about everything wrong with SpongeBob. It's the closest humans can get to the feral happiness my dog feels when he steals treats from the other dog and gets away with it by hiding his fat little sausage body behind the couch and hurgling it at the speed of sound. Mickey, you hear that? He is on the couch while I'm recording this. Do you hear that, you little bastard? Do you hear me? I'm talking about you. Now it's come time to explain the name. First I picked the word mania, meaning madness, because this feeling only comes to most people when they are at their most feral and insane. Next comes the aught suffix, ot, which is there to make it sound like a word and doesn't really mean anything. Lastly is the ire suffix, ire, which also means rage or irritation. Maniotire. Perfect. Children killing each other on a planet, except sometimes, uh,